Good morning, dear students. Today we shall continue with the next topic on page 225 in your book under the heading Climatic or Heat Zones. And in this we see the earth is divided into three climatic heat zones. The earth is divided into three climatic or heat zones. What are those three climatic or heat zones? Turn to the next page and you will see here. One is Toric Zone, the other is temperate zone, and the other is frigid zone. These are the three climatic zones or the heat zones that we see. Toric zone, or known as tropical region, temperate zone or temperate region, frigid zone or polar region. So these are the three climatic or heat zones. And how is it divided? How is this three climatic or heat zones divided? This division is based on the sunlight they receive or the rainfall, the heat or the intensity, the force of the sunlight that they receive or the rainfall that they receive makes the division of the climatic or heat zones. Turn to the next page. We know that since it is curved, the earth is curved, isn't it? The earth is not a straight line, it is curved, and so the rays of the sun has to travel a greater distance. Since it is curved, it is not a straight or parallel line, so the sun have to travel a greater distance and in slanting manner, not in a straight manner but in slanting manner, to reach the higher altitudes. That's why the heat zone, the three climatic zones or the heat zones are divided. In the division of the climate or the heat zone is made. So these are the three heat zones. Now we shall go point by point. What the first is Toric or the tropical zone. What is Toric zone? It lies on both sides of the equator. The location of the Toric zone is that it lies on both sides of the equator. Here you see the equator is here, and on both sides of the equator, that is, here you can see Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So it lies on both the sides of the equator. And what is the climate of the Toric zone? The climate is hot and humid throughout the year. It is hot and humid throughout the year. Why? Because the rays of the sun falls directly on this area. That is the main reason the climate of the Toric zone is always hot and humid all through the year, because the rays of the sun fall directly on this area. So the sun shines brightly and the temperature is very high all around the year. They also receive heavy rainfall every year, every afternoon, and the area is covered with thick and dense forests. Here the question is, what are rainforests? What are rainforests? The answer will be the area is covered with thick and dense forests. These forests are known as rainforests. Now we go to the second point, that is temperate zone. Second point, temperate zone. Where is the location of the temperate zone, or where does the temperate zone lies? It is between the toric zone and frigid zone. Temperate zone lies between the toric zone and frigid zone. So the area lies between torrid and frigid zone. It can also be Tropic of Cancer in the north and Tropic of Cancer in the south. Tropic of Cancer in the north or northern hemisphere and Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. That is the location of the temperate zone. What is the climate of the temperate zone? This area is neither very hot nor it's very cold. For example, like the countries in Western Europe and Western Western Europe and Northern America. This area they experience neither very hot nor very cold. Why is this particular or temperate zone neither very hot nor very cold? Because its distance from the equator. It is a bit far from the equator. As for the Toric Zone, it is very close to the equator, so they receive direct sunlight. But as for the temperate zone, they are a bit far from the equator, so it's neither very hot nor very cold. So mm, during the summer, even the summer is not very hot, nor the winter is very cold, and most of the places are grasslands. The grasslands are found in this temperate zone. Now we go to the third point, that is the frigid zone. In this frigid zone, where is the location of the frigid zone? It is in the Arctic Circle. You can see here the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle. So it lies between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole. You can see here North Pole and South Pole. So the frigid zone lies between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole, and the uh, South Pole or the Antarctic Circle. So what is the climate of this frigid zone? It has an extremely cold climate. Before that, which some of the places which falls under frigid zones are like the Canada, Sweden, or Denmark, and so these places are cold. So this area has extremely cold climate, and this is why because the sun rays are slanting and give very little heat. They are far from the equator and also they get very little heat. That's why it is extremely cold climate. Summers are very short and cool, and winters are long and severe. The seas and the lands in the Arctic and Antarctic circles are frozen all throughout the year. Frozen means most of the time it is filled with ice. And midnight sun, that is, the sun does not set for the days that stretch for 6 months. The sun does not set in for 6 months. For another 6 months, the sun does not rise. So you can imagine, if the sun does not rises for 6 months, how cold will it be? It is filled with the ice or the snow. Very little vegetation is found here because it is filled with ice and snow. So it is called the polar region. Hope you understood this much, students.